Good afternoon. We had sunshine and warm temperatures throughout the day. A few clouds will filter in overnight with a low near 28 in Sioux Falls, 26 Aberdeen, 31 in Pierre, and 39 in Rapid City. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow and a little bit warmer. 60 are high in Sioux Falls, 61 in Aberdeen, a windy 62 in Pierre, and a windy 67 in Rapid City. Big changes are on the way in the Black Hills as we head into this weekend. We'll take a look coming up as we begin KELOLAND's First at 4.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group. KELOLAND News, First at 4.
A driver faces charges following an early morning crash. We'll have an update from Sioux Falls Police coming up.
Plus, U.S. Senator Mike Rounds joins us live in the studio to talk tribal relations.
And then a little later, cursive handwriting is a lost art for some, but not for a pair of students in Minnesota. How they are getting national recognition coming up. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. 11 Sioux Falls men face federal charges following a joint online sex crimes operation earlier this month.
They all face attempted enticement of a minor using the internet. The arrests were the result of work by multiple state and federal agencies, including Homeland Security, the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, South Dakota DCI, and Sioux Falls Police. We'll take a closer look at the work that went into the joint operation, and we're going to hear from the U.S. Attorney coming up at 6.
A 30-year-old Sioux Falls man is facing charges following an overnight crash on the east side of town. Police say the driver was drunk when he lost control of his SUV and crashed into a parked car, pushing it into a tree. The SUV rolled and ended up upside down. Now, despite all the damage, there were no serious injuries. The driver, Cale Dorsey, is charged with DUI and reckless driving.
All right, let's turn our attention to our weather. Super nice day out there right now.
I heard someone in the newsroom say it was actually hot outside.
Really? I know it's hot in our studio.
We're just not used to these temperatures up to 60, Megan.
No, it is a beautiful day out there. Our temperatures well above normal as we head into this afternoon. Right now, sunshine and 60 degrees in Sioux Falls. We do have that north breeze. But as we head across the state to Rapid City, we do have some clouds moving in. We do have a stronger wind right now at 67. Big changes are on the way for the Black Hills, though. Our highest temperature since midnight, 67 in Buffalo and in Rapid City, 72 in Pine Ridge, 57 in Yankton, 52 in Watertown, and 61 in Mobridge. Our winds are mostly light at 5 to 15 miles an hour, but some strong winds are blowing in northwestern South Dakota right now at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Those winds will die down as we head into tonight, but some stronger winds are back tomorrow. And like I mentioned, big changes on the way for the Black Hills with a winter storm watch already in place Saturday evening through Sunday night. Now this will get upgraded as we get closer. We are expecting at least a foot of that wet, heavy snow in the Black Hills. This watch does not include Rapid City, but there are going to be some strong winds with this system. For tonight, though, just a few clouds filtering in from west to east. Our winds die down. 28 the low in Sioux Falls, 26 Aberdeen, 31 in Pierre, and 39 in Rapid City. Tomorrow we'll keep the partly cloudy skies. Temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer than today. Central and western South Dakota are going to have that strong wind, though. 60 are high in Sioux Falls, 61 in Aberdeen, 62 in Pierre, and 67 in Rapid City. We have rain, wind, and snow on the way as we head into the weekend. We'll take a closer look at the timing and what you can expect coming up.
Thanks, Megan. Well, new this afternoon, President Joe Biden has told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu future U.S. support for the Gaza war depends on new steps to protect civilians and aid workers. Biden and Netanyahu spoke today by phone, days after Israeli airstrikes killed 7 food aid workers in Gaza. The leaders' conversation came as the World Central Kitchen called for an independent investigation into the deadly Israeli strikes.
Well, along with the president, U.S. lawmakers are also following the situation in Gaza closely. We're joined now by U.S. Senator Mike Rounds. Thank you, Senator, for being here. Let's talk about what the president said today. Is it enough, or what do you think needs to happen?
First of all, you have to remember that Israel feels as though they had their 9/11, and that happened in October of last year. Hamas caused this problem, and they're hiding behind citizens in the Gaza Strip area. What has to happen is that Israel has to finish their war operation, and at the same time, they have to do everything they can to protect innocent lives. This is not going to be a good situation, no matter how we talk about it and how we suggest that they have to do better. Israel has to finish the operation. They're going to go into those areas wherever Hamas is at. They're not going to let them regroup. They've been successful so far, but at a terrible cost of innocent lives. In the future, I think within Israel itself, they may very well demand that they take extra precautions with regard to those individuals. It is a human tragedy going on in Gaza right now, but let's refocus. This is Hamas's fault. This is not Israel's fault, but Israel has to do everything they can to protect as many innocent lives as they can possibly do.
Okay, let's move on to another topic. As a member of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, we also want to talk with you about the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, the council's decision to ban Governor Kristi Noem. How do you recommend that this be resolved?
Talking with one another helps a lot. I've had what I believe is a very good working relationship with our tribal chairman. We try to do it on a consultative basis where we consult with the tribes before we make decisions. These tribal chairmen want to have a higher quality of life for their members in their tribes, and I have found them to be good to work with. They're frustrated because they don't have a lot of money coming in from the federal government with regard to law enforcement or for improving their road systems. We try to work with them to find a better way to distribute the funds that the BIA has. We try to find a better way to distribute the funds that IHS has. But in coordinating with them, we found them to be good to work with. And I think it's a matter of communication.
And it's a little tough for the governor to do that, I guess. The challenge is that she's banned from the reservation. And how do you open up those lines of communication then?
Well, let me just share. I got banned once as well, but that was from Russia. And that did not impact my travel plans at all.
Right.
But nonetheless, I think that's their message of frustration. And look, they truly want to do what's right. I find them to have been in my office regularly. They come to D.C. They invite me to their reservations. I was just up in Corson County this week. I was in just a couple weeks ago. I was down at the Rosebud. And what we've tried to do is to bring these tribal chairmen together. They work together as a team where they can in the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association. We've actually done emergency management meetings with them. They came, they participated. So I think it's a matter of reaching out and trying our best to have good working relationships, but respecting the fact that it is government to government. And they want to work with the federal government. Sometimes the state, I look, when I worked as governor, you have times in which you do tribal gaming compacts and so forth, and you're head to head on a lot of those things. And it's a negotiation, and you can have some hard feelings once in a while. But you got to get past it. You got to go back in and work with them. They represent their people as well.
Let's talk about some of the problems that they face on the reservation. Over the last few months, we put together several reports on the violence and the drug problems on the state's reservations, what they're struggling with. What do you think needs to be done to make things better on the reservation?
Well, first of all, look, when it comes to crime and when it comes to drugs and when it comes to gangs, we've got it not just on the reservations, but we've got it in our communities as well. So it's not just on the reservations. And it's not just in South Dakota, it is across this country. The challenge for them is that they rely on the federal government for a lot of their law enforcement assistance. They rely on the federal government for the funding on a regular basis. And some tribes do what they call a 638 contract, which is where they assume the responsibility for actually creating the law enforcement systems on their reservations. And then the federal government is supposed to reimburse them for their costs. In South Dakota, about half of our tribes do that. The other half have the BIA come in and do it. Getting and recruiting these young men to come in, these young men and women to come in to be law enforcement officers on the reses has been tough, in part because the training actually has to occur down in New Mexico. We think that's wrong. And so we've actually proposed that we do a training center here in South Dakota. When I worked as governor in this state, we actually, in conjunction with the Attorney General, we offered slots at our law enforcement training center. The tribes took advantage of it back then, and it really helped them to work with those highway patrolmen in the area, with the county sheriffs in those areas, because they knew each other from their training. I'd like to see the same thing happen, and perhaps on a more permanent basis.
Yeah, and I believe we're going to have more on this topic coming up tonight on KELOLAND News at 10. Well, Senator, thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Kelly?